Hello, this is Nicole from Your Nursing Tutor, and today I have a cool little experiment where I'm going to show you what osmosis is. Osmosis, of course, is one of the major concepts for fluids and electrolytes that you really need to understand as a nursing student because it's going to come up over and over again all throughout med-surg and pediatrics and maternity. So if you can just get the concept now, it's really going to help you out a lot later. So what we need, one of the things that is definitely a necessity when you're thinking about osmosis is this concept of a semi-permeable membrane. And a semi-permeable membrane is just what it sounds like. It is a membrane that is permeable, which means things can go through it, but semi means only to some things. So only some things can pass through the membrane. And specifically when we're talking about osmosis, then that means that water in particular can go through a membrane. So that means there's little holes in the membrane that are big enough to let water molecules, H2O, go through, but it's not big enough to let other things like some larger particles, like it could be, protein like albumin, or even some sodium or potassium or things like that. Those, might not be able to go through certain semi-permeable membranes. And so what I did to create a semi-permeable membrane is I took, this is an egg, I took 4 eggs and I put it in vinegar for the weekend. And vinegar is an acid, as you probably know, and basically what it did is I don't know if you can see me squeezing this, it basically ate away and dissolved the eggshell. And so we're just left with the semi-permeable membrane of the eggshell, and actually as I'm holding this, I can still see the egg yolk inside kind of floating around as I shake it. If you don't believe me that the eggshell is gone, oh. There you go. Didn't mean to do that, but so there you go. There's a semi-permeable membrane, and there's my egg yolk down here. So anyway, we'll just cover that back up. And I'm going to go ahead and do the experiment anyway. Nursing is all about kind of rolling with the punches. So anyway, it is sort of bouncy a little bit, but obviously I shouldn't bounce it too hard. I should have tested that before I did the video. But I still have 3 left, so we just won't have our control egg, and we'll just do the experiment with the other 3 eggs. So basically, we have 1 egg here. I'm going to go ahead and just put in this container. Here's egg number 2. Just drying them off a little bit so that they get some of the vinegar off of it. And egg number 3 goes in the 3rd container. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use 3 different solutions that I'm going to cover the eggs with. If you remember, a solution is basically a solute plus a solvent. And the first one that I'm going to do is just regular tap water. Okay, so really not much to it. I'm just going to put that one in the first one over here. Came right out of my faucet, nothing to it. I'm just going to pour enough in to make sure the egg is completely covered. Now the second solution I'm going to use is saline. It's normal saline solution. I just mixed it up myself because normal saline is 0.9% salinity, and so I took about 9 grams of table salt. I just have a little kitchen measurer that kitchen scale that I use to measure out 9 grams of table salt, and I put it in a liter of water, and so that will be our normal saline solution. I'm going to go ahead and pour that over egg number 2. And then for egg number 3, actually I'm going to put egg number 3 in a slightly smaller container. And egg number 3, I've just got some corn syrup, which I always have on hand. I only use it about once a year to make a special birthday icing that my husband likes. But this is a good use for it too. So basically this is going to be like my hypertonic solution, and I'm just pouring this up to cover up the egg. Of course, it's a little thicker than the other two solutions, so it's taking me a little bit longer to pour it in. I almost got it covered. There we go. Oh, perfect. I had just about enough to do it. Okay. So, I've got my water, my saline, and my corn syrup with my egg and semi-permeable membrane in each one. So I am going to go ahead and seal these up and just let them sit for a little while, and I'll be back in just a moment. Well, just a moment for you. It'll be longer than that for me, and we'll see what happens to these eggs. Welcome back to your Nurse and Tutor Osmosis experiment. So it's only been a couple seconds for you, but it has been, gosh, I think it's been over a week already for me. I've had these eggs sitting on my counter for a while, not because the reaction didn't happen quickly, because really I was starting to see results in about a day, but I just didn't have time to pull all my eggs out, so they sat on my counter all week. But I'm excited to show you what happened. Although the results are not exactly what I expected. I think I'm going to have to look into my saline solution in particular. I don't think it was as salty as I thought it was, so I don't think it ended up being isotonic exactly. But let's start with the isotonic saline. I actually ended up making a second egg because I was so surprised by the results, and I put it in there just to see. So this is the second egg that I made and put in the saline, and this is the first egg, the original one from the video you saw. And if you can kind of see, I'll put it a little closer to the video camera. The new egg is a little bit smaller than this egg. I think one thing that might have happened with my experiment is I think that when I left them in the vinegar, that the vinegar, I think, was actually, might have been a hypotonic solution. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look into that. But because the eggs did seem bigger after sitting in the vinegar solution than they were when they were just in the eggshell. And so I'm really not sure if that's just because the eggshell was holding it all in somehow, or if because it expanded by absorbing some of the fluid in the vinegar. But this egg, this egg's kind of a little bit smaller. This one, I didn't leave it in the vinegar solution as long. So as soon as the eggshell dissolved off, I took it out of the vinegar. Whereas the original batch, I kind of let it sit in the vinegar for an extra day or two after the eggshell had dissolved. So that's one possible reason for the difference. But this one definitely, the new one that I put in definitely didn't seem to get any bigger than the saline. So let me use this new one to compare to then the egg that was in the water solution. Of course, the water solution is our hypotonic solution, because that means that there's less solute, so there's less stuff in the water than there is in the saline solution. And if you compare them, we would expect that extra water would then go into, it would by osmosis go into the egg to make the egg bigger. And you can kind of see it's a very, very small difference, but this egg is just a tiny bit bigger than our egg that was in the isotonic solution. So not a huge difference, but a little bit of a difference. Now the really exciting result that's a lot of fun is the egg that was in the corn syrup, which was our hypotonic solution. Let's see if I can pull this up without breaking it. This is our egg. It doesn't even really look like an egg, actually. I'm going to need two hands to hold this or else it might break. Get it closer to the camera so you can see it. Yeah, it basically, you can see the yolk right through it because it's almost, that's all that's left is almost just the yolk. There's a little bit of thick fluid around the yolk, but if you even, you probably can't see it in the video, but trust me on this, on the corn syrup, there's like a layer of water on top of the corn syrup. So instead of just being really a thick syrup, like corn syrup is supposed to be. There's still thickness at the bottom, but the top is all watery. So you can really tell with this hypertonic solution that the water from the egg just came right out through osmosis through the membrane, the semi-permeable membrane, and just tried to dilute the corn syrup, which is exactly what we would expect. So go ahead and put that back in there. And of course, comparing that to our control egg, you can definitely see a difference. So it's a fun little experiment if you ever want to try it at home. And that just is sort of to show you what osmosis is like. Next week I'm planning on doing a little bit more in-depth explanation of what happened with each one of these examples and comparing that to IV solutions and what the IV solutions are doing in your patients' bodies. So make sure that you watch for that on the blog next week. Also, if you like this video, please make sure that you leave a comment letting me know at the bottom of the blog post. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.